Hello there, viewers. I just wanted to go ahead and do a short little video on how to hook up. It'd be two separate motors running off two separate switches put off of one power supply. And the power supply we'll be using, it's a little 7.2. It's about a half charge battery right now. I've already got it plugged in over here. I just wanted to demonstrate on how to run two separate motors off two separate switches, but using the one ground. A lot of people don't understand that when you run that, you can tie all the grounds to one. They always try to run a ground to the switch, it's not necessary. They always have problems where they short something out, or the battery, melts or something because they somehow end up attaching it to a power wire. So I just wanted to demonstrate a real quick, setup right there and show that. So I'm gonna go ahead and demonstrate real quick, that the switches do work, the motors do work. So first switch is going to be this one here, which controls this one. You can see when the motor jumps, it's turned on. And shut it back off. And this one is just a regular toggle switch. That one controls this one. You turn it real quick. As you can see, it's running. So, it's a really basic setup. You got your power that comes out here. I got it actually spliced into this. I actually got these off of an old RC car that I had. Everything was trashed on it, so I went ahead and just kept all the splices on it. And I came down on here. I got the main power wire is actually spliced into 3. I got one coming out going to the N on this switch, and the same thing for the other switch here. I got it also going on this, and then both going out on the outside to the load side of the switch would be connected directly to the motor. If you look, as it comes out on the ground, I actually have the grounds tied in right here. I just got electrical tape on them right now because I'm always taking them apart and putting new ones in. If you look, there's the ground off the motor directly to that ground, and the ground off this motor also comes directly to this ground. So other people, they try to splice it into another switch or something else. It's not necessary. This is just a simple setup right here just to get it all out of the way. This is the way that I would do it if I was running them on an RC car with 2 motors, or as long as it was controlled by 2 switches. And then I'll just show you a real quick way just to check to see if you have a bad switch or whatever the case there might be. So what we're going to go ahead and do is untape the ground wire real quick. Just pull the tape off there. So that way we can get to the ground wire and see where it is. You see, I just pulled the tape off it. This is the reason I use electrical tape sometimes on these little setup and demonstrations, just so that way I can do real quick setups. You come over here to your voltmeter. Obviously this is only 7.2, so you want to be above a 2 on the DC. DC is little volt sign, squiggly line, and then the straight solid line. Instead of being on the 2, since the 2 is actually, it's going to be before 7 something, so we're going to go to 20, the next one up. Make sure you're not using your amp, so that way there's no problem there. We use the common, the volt, ohms, continuity resistance, whatever you want to call it. I just refer to it as the volt jack, common jack. We're going to do that. Go ahead and take your black lead and just stick it on your ground. You can either stick it right there, or there's times I enjoy just sticking it down in this little jack right here. And you see I just kind of wedge it right there. It's the same thing, it's just a simple connection. But we can go ahead and check and make sure that we got power going to our switches. So we're going to go ahead and untape the positive right here also. Hold this right here. Tape off there. So now we got that positive pulled off right there and ground in there. We can go ahead and check that right there and just make sure we got power going to it. And you just, your ground's always right there, so it doesn't really matter. Okay, so you're touching your positive right there. This is your main coming right out of the battery pack. Right there. So you can check over here on the multimeter, and it's putting out 6.25. So I mean, you're getting pretty good connection there. So now you can go to one of your switches. As if you were coming off this switch, you follow the wire. You can follow the wire back over here. And obviously it goes to the bottom side of the switch, so you want to check that side. So you connect it to that one. 6.28. So you got a good connection there. Now if you check the opposite side of the switch, obviously you're not going to have anything because the switch right now is in the open position. So you go to check it there. Nothing. Now if you want, so if say you had your switch was on and you didn't have any kind of power to it, you could do the same thing and check it just like this on both sides and make sure you had power going to it. And if you check this side and you didn't have any power and your switch was on, you know you'd have a bad switch. So right now the switch is open, so we'll go ahead and close the switch, which therefore it does activate the motor. But now, remember how I was checking it was 0 because the switch was closed or open. Now we got the switch closed. We'll go ahead and check it. Putting out pulling about 5.28, 5.27, which is normal. Battery's lower. So now if you keep, I can flip this switch off. Again, same thing. Check it. Nothing. That's just a simple way to check there. Now you can also, say you check all this, say you do have power here, but you don't have power at your motor. Say your motor is not turning, but your switch is on. You got power on both sides of the contacts on here. You can always revert back to your motor, check your motor. Obviously right now the switch is open, so you're not going to have any power. Go ahead and close the switch. Obviously you can see the motor spinning. Say it wasn't spinning. Got nothing there. Go ahead and put it on the positive side of the motor. And that's one way to tell. So that's kind of just a little troubleshoot way. You might have power coming out of the switch. Maybe you got a bad connection somewhere in between the motor from here to this set of splices here. So that's just somewhere just to check. The other switch is hooked up the exact same way, single pole. I do have all 3 power wires all tied into one right here. So it's not really, no big deal. I'm going to go ahead and set up real quick a way to show you how to pull or check the amps being pulled from the battery by the motor. The way you do that is you actually split the power. So say we take, let me pull this motor over here real quick just to kind of show you. Okay, so we got this motor that comes off this switch right here. Comes all the way around right there. As I said before, your grounds are all tied in together right there. There's your switch, comes over to here. What we need to do is actually break this, and we'll actually put our multimeter in between them. So I'm going to do that real quick. So pull that apart. I'm just going to use a set of my clips real quick, just for a quick setup on them. Now this, it really doesn't matter whether you hook it up negative to positive, whatever. I mean, as far as on the voltmeter, either way it's still going to read. So this, you take one side, go ahead and hook it up. Go ahead and hook it up to your clip. Set that one off to the side. And then go ahead and take your other side and hook that one up. I'm going to show you real quick here on that. So now you got it coming out of the switch, coming off of here. You got it going onto a clip. And off of the clip, which is right here, you're going to go ahead and hook it to one of your prongs on your multimeter. And there's also one more setup we got to do on the multimeter. I'll show you that in 1 second. We're going to pull this one out of here. Just set this right here real quick. And we'll go ahead and hook this up also right here. Just a real quick general setup. Kind of sloppy. On your multimeter, you try checking it like this for volts or something. I mean, you're not going to check your amps. So go ahead and leave your common and your black. Remove your positive from your volt, and you got the setup on the side for amps. Go ahead and throw it in the amp setup. And then on your meter, you got your resistance, your ohms, all that, and then you got your amps, which mine are right here located on this one. Each multimeter is going to be different. Mine's just an Electrotech brand. So go ahead and turn it down. Go ahead and put it on a 10 amp, 20, just check that. And then the way you can check and see how many amps are being pulled is just on this one. You know, right now everything's still off. Go ahead and turn your switch on. And right there, as you see it, you know, it's positive. If it's negative, just go ahead and reverse the 2 on there, and it's not really going to make too much of a difference on there. So right there, you can see that my motor's pulling about 12 amps, 11 amps. So yeah, then that's really just the general look on it. I mean, some people have different looks on it. I was just messing around there, looking at something different. But yeah, again, you turn the switch on, about 12 amps. Now if I turn this other switch on, it does not drop this other amps on it. It doesn't drop how many amps I pull. You know, as far as the volts or nothing like that, none of that changes. So but that is pretty much the basics of just a little general setup. I've kind of used this on a couple different little setups. I just like to set things up and kind of see how they work and check, and so I just figured I'd make a little video and demonstrate. If anybody has any questions, go ahead and feel free to ask, or any kind of comments. I'm always open for suggestions on things maybe to try. I'm always willing to do different things to learn also. So yep, thank you guys.